right, day 11, last day before the day of Christmas. We are going through the Christmas story, connecting the scripture of this Christmas story, the greatest story ever told, to land ownership lessons, quick insights to give you that little uplifting spirit, and how scripture can be a foundation, a resource of lessons we can take through all areas of our life, including our land management. We're back in the book of Luke today, chapter 2, verses 6 through 7. So we backtrack a little bit into the chapter, and it says, "And while they were there, the time came for her to give birth. And she gave birth to her firstborn son, and wrapped him in swaddling cloths, and laid him in a manger, because there was no place for them in the inn." Lessons for landowners. Sometimes the unexpected happens, and you have to improvise with what you have. Now, I don't know if Mary knew she would give birth to Jesus in Bethlehem. She was probably aware of the prophecy, but I don't know if she was fully aware that she was going to give birth while traveling on this, decree that they were called to. I have a feeling she was especially not thinking that she would give birth in a stable, in a manger, whatever that manger looked like. I know my Bible study talks about different versions of what it may look like. In all cases, I can imagine that Mary was not expecting to be in such humble conditions to give birth to the Son of God, who she knew was the Son of God. Now, I know she most likely suspected things were coming close. She probably, had that understanding he's supposed to be born in Bethlehem. But again, I have a feeling she did not expect it to happen in such humble situations. Because I can imagine if I accepted this type of role, I would have expected at least some type of comfort, some bare minimum comfort. Instead, he was born in a manger and she wrapped him in swaddling cloths. I mean, it doesn't really get much more humble than that. When it comes to your land management, you might be planning certain activities for your land. Perhaps you're planning a harvest next year. Maybe you're planning on doing a prescribed burn next week. And then something happens. And you might have to expedite your plans. Maybe you get a southern pine beetle outbreak. Maybe you have some college funding that you're like, hey, I need to plan for this year. Maybe the market's just really fantastic. Maybe the weather conditions change and tomorrow is the best day to burn instead of next week. Something happens and you have to change your plans, and usually means expedite your plans. This can cause us to fret so many times. I don't know if you're like me, but when I have a plan, I really don't like to deter from the plan a whole lot. I don't like wrenches being thrown in my plans that I have worked all my other plans around, especially when it comes to burning. I've never been a great prescribed burner because you can't have a ton of solid plans around your burning weeks. You have to be able to jump and move and change directions when and whatever the weather may be. But I make my plans and I don't like to change them as soon as they are set. And so I can stress a little bit when things get expedited and things have to go ahead of schedule that I wasn't perhaps prepared for. We need to take the lesson from Mary. I almost guarantee you the unexpected is going to happen. Things are not going to go according to our plans. That's the one thing I can guarantee will happen in land management, is that things aren't going to go according to plan. But when that happens, we don't need to fret when things don't necessarily go as we expected. But rather, we need to simply take what we are given and the change of plans and embrace the moment. Yes, Mary could have complained a lot. I know I complained plenty for the both of us, honestly, for whenever the slightest inconvenience happens. But many times, I can only say this after hindsight looking back, it's those unintended plans that are usually the biggest blessings in disguise. So perhaps rather than fretting and stressing about all these twists and turns and wrenches that have been thrown our ways, would simply take a moment, take a breather, not complain. Follow Mary here. Don't complain. If she didn't complain about giving birth to the Son of God in a stable, in a manger, while traveling away from home and family, I probably shouldn't complain about having to burn on a Monday rather than a Friday, if I'm honest. That is a very much more minimal inconvenience. And many times again, These changes are going to be blessings in disguise that we can only recognize hindsight looking back. All right, we have one more day of our Christmas story. I hope you are really enjoying these quick insights, quick lessons of scripture to our land stewardship responsibilities, and I will talk to you tomorrow on day 12.